international, so that's great. So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Marissa. I am one of the representatives at RBS, and today I'll be telling you something about what to expect from international business. In a couple of minutes, we will also be joined by one of our student ambassadors. She's actually a current student studying at RBS, so if you have any specific questions for her, please feel free to ask after the presentation. So before we start, I wanted to share a little video so you can get a feel of what to expect from international business. All right, I hope that gave you a nice impression of what you can expect. And in the meantime, Letitia just joined us.
Hi, sorry for being late. I guess the link kind of didn't work, but it's fine.
No worries, we're all here. And I actually just asked everyone where they're from, so you can see in the chat that it's already a very international group. And so let's continue. So before we really delve into international business, I just wanted to show you this because the education system in the Netherlands is a little bit different from what some of you might be used to. Because in the Netherlands, we actually have two types of universities to choose from. There are universities of applied sciences, like us, and there are research universities. And both universities are really good, but the approach is very different. So that's why it's important for you to know this. So if you were to study at a University of Applied Sciences, your bachelor is 4 years because there is a mandatory internship involved, which usually happens in the third year at RBS. And it's also very practical, very profession-oriented. So it's a lot of group work. It's very hands-on. There's an international project. There's an import company. There's exchange, writing your graduation assignment for a company. So it's a lot of doing. It's very hands-on. And if you were to study at a research university, it would be more of a theoretical, more academic approach. And that's also why a bachelor at a research university is 3 years, because usually there is no internship included, at least not a mandatory internship. So yeah, that's really for you also to decide what type of education fits you best, because it's important that the program and the university that you choose, that it's the right fit for you. So let's move on to RBS. RBS is part of Rotterdam University of Applied Sciences, and it's one of the bigger universities in the country. But for the bachelor and the master, we have two separate locations. So in that way, you don't feel like you're part of this massive university. We are located in Rotterdam, very special because Rotterdam is Europe's largest port city. So that creates a lot of opportunities for students because we are literally surrounded by multinationals, smaller companies, but also many startups, because Rotterdam is a very entrepreneurial city. So when it comes to finding a company to do your internship for or finding a full-time job after graduation, you're actually in the perfect place. Also, a lot of our students actually have part-time jobs, even though they don't speak Dutch. So that also says a lot about how open our city is. As we are University of Applied Sciences, we have a very profession-oriented approach, especially from the second year onwards. So that means group work, company visits and assignments, internship, exchange, writing your thesis at a company. Some of the companies that our first year students worked with this year were companies like Hyundai and Dell. And of course, there are many other companies that are located in and outside of the country that we work with. And within the international business program, around 30% of our students is international. And comes from over 63 different countries. So it's a really nice international classroom, and that's really useful, especially for after graduation, if you want to work or if you're going to work for an international company, whether that's in or outside of the Netherlands. All of our staff are from the business field, so that's also very valuable because they have broad international networks that you can make use of. And of course, especially with the current situation, we have a really good support system for students. During introduction week, you will get a buddy assigned. You will have a mentor. We also work with peer coaches who are students in their second or third year who are really good at a certain subject, and they're here to help you. If you need some extra help, there are counselors, student ambassadors like Letizia and her team. And we also work with RISA, the Rotterdam International Students Association. So student well-being is a really big focus at RBS. This is just a quick overview of where everything is located. So for the masters and the bachelors, we have two separate locations. The master students are located more towards the east. It's still a 10-minute bike ride from the city center. Because everyone bikes, of course, that's the medium of transport for our students here. And the bachelors are located a little bit more towards the city center, just across the Erasmus Bridge, actually. And our dormitories are located in the middle. I do want to address the dormitories because, as you may have heard, the housing situation in the Netherlands is quite difficult. So it's really important to start looking for housing in time. We do have dormitories, and we always recommend everyone to register for the dorms, but there's not enough rooms for everyone. So make sure to also start looking for alternative options. We have a good website. We have a housing officer. There will be a webinar presented by the housing officer in the coming months. And it's always also good to post a message in a Facebook group saying, hey guys, I'm going to start in September and I'm looking for students to team up and to look for apartments. So let's delve a little bit deeper into what to expect from the program. The regular track is 4 years, and the first year is a little bit more theoretical, although there will be projects, of course. But you will get an introduction into the 4 specializations that you can choose from at the end of the first year. So it's really nice because in that way you don't need to make a decision right away. You can first experience what those specializations are about and which one fits you best. In the second year, you're going to do a lot of group projects. There may be an import company where you have to import a product outside of from outside of the country and actually sell it here in the Netherlands. Or you may have to go on an international project. So very hands-on. In the third year, there is an internship, which you can do in the Netherlands or abroad. It depends a little bit on the language that you choose and also on the specialization. And then in the fourth year, there is the exchange program, which is not mandatory because especially the international students are already abroad. So we don't want to make you go abroad again, but still it's a really nice opportunity. There are many partner universities worldwide, so you could pretty much go to every continent. And the final semester of your fourth year is for writing your graduation assignment, which will be written for a company. So a lot of contact with companies. And besides the business subjects, we will also focus on your professional development. So you can expect subjects like self-reflection, critical thinking, intercultural communication, because you will be in an international classroom and it's really nice, but it can also be quite challenging sometimes because everyone comes from different cultural backgrounds, different academic backgrounds. So it's important to get some skills on how to get the most out of that experience. And there will also be languages involved. as an international student, you will get Dutch in your program, but besides Dutch, it is possible to choose an additional language. And there are European languages to choose from: German, French, Spanish, Russian, Mandarin, Japanese, Indonesian, so European languages, Asian languages, and then there will also be Korean and Vietnamese starting. Really exciting and also really nice, because during your internship or your exchange, you can also go to those countries, of course, and to experience what it's like to be working there. These are the 4 specializations that you can choose from at the end of the first year. Organization and change used to be international business and management, so it's very general and it really focuses on the inner workings of a company. So what do you as a manager need to do or change to make sure that the company achieves its goals, whether that's becoming more profitable, more sustainable, whatever those goals may be. Then there is supply chain, which focuses on supply chain and logistics, being located in Rotterdam. That's a very special program, of course, also quite popular. Then there is commerce, and commerce is really the language track. So within the commerce specialization, we actually have to choose an additional language. And then there's marketing. So these are the 4 specializations. They will all be introduced to you during the first year. So by the end of the first year, you know exactly what they are about. This is just a financial overview to give you an idea of what you can expect in terms of finances. It's around 800 to 1,000 euros per month that you will spend, but maybe Letitia can elaborate a little bit more on that. Of course, it depends a little bit on your own spending behavior, but in general, this is what you can expect. A lot of our students actually have part-time jobs. That's the benefit, or another benefit, of being located in Rotterdam, because it's such an international city. Those are the typical student jobs, like working in retail for Zara or H&M, working in a cafe or a restaurant. Typical student jobs, working at a call center, especially if you speak multiple languages. So I think that's really special, because it really says something about how open the city is. Non-EU students are allowed to work 16 hours per week throughout the entire year, or full-time during summer. So there are 2 options. Of course, we don't recommend you to get a part-time job right away in the beginning of the program, because everything is new. So give yourself some time to get used to your new university and your new classroom. But after the first semester, you can definitely see if you feel comfortable enough to look for a part-time job. Of course, studying in Rotterdam is not only about studying and working, it's also about having a nice social life, taking actively part in society, doing sports. The master's location is actually located next to Erasmus University, the research university, and we share their sports facilities and their campus. So that's also really nice to become a member. There are over 20 sport clubs right now. Really nice to do that as well. Of course, we also work with our student ambassadors. Every year we have a new team, and they are here to help you out during introduction week, during open days. They're always here to help out with practical things or typical student life things. So really nice to reach out to them as well. And of course, we also work with RISA, Rotterdam International Student Association. They organize a lot of nice events throughout the year, and they're always looking for committee members. So also really nice to join them. They will also be there during introduction week, of course, so you can become a member. And I'm going to wrap up, because I want to give Letitia some time to share her experience. And after that, if you have any questions, we're going to have enough time to answer them. But first, Letitia, could you maybe take a few minutes to share with the new students what it's been like for you, this RBS journey?
Of course I can. First, hello everyone. I'm Letitia. I'm a second-year student, and my specialization is organization and change. So if you have any questions related to that one, I'm here to answer them all. As a language, I'm studying Spanish, and I'm doing Dutch as an elective. So I chose to do both of them. And as Marissa already told you, I am one of the student ambassadors. What we usually do is help new students and also actual students with questions, whatever they might be. And we're very glad to know that we can be here for you when you have more student-related questions. So regarding experience and, I don't know, courses, school, city, whatever questions you might want to hear from someone that's actually been through all of them. Now, regarding my experience, I'm from Romania and I moved here already 2 years ago because I was a generation who was first hit by the coronavirus. Unfortunately, my start was online at the university, but because it was online, I think it gave me time to focus more on the city, on what having a social life in a foreign country is, making friends as well. And since this year, when we actually started having offline classes, my social life, I think, has been blooming since September. I've met a lot of new people. I got to know how actually offline classes feel like and how important it is to have an interaction with the teacher and also with your classmates, and how important it is to, I don't know, have the person who's talking in front of you and feel the energy that want to give you throughout what they're teaching. And my overall experience has been pretty fine. As Marissa already mentioned, our student ambassadors work closely with Risa, who are organizing events and who are focusing on the community of students that we have here at RBS and also RUAS. And through them, we've organized events, multiple events, also during introduction weeks and also throughout the year. And that includes Halloween parties, Christmas parties, a lot of little parties where we got to know more our students that are studying at RUAS. And yes, I think that's it from my experience. If you have any questions, you can just leave them in the chat, and I will try my best to answer them all.
Perfect, thank you. Letitia, could you maybe also share a little bit your decision-making process? Why did you choose RBS?
Of course, yeah. So as I mentioned, because I was the generation when the coronavirus hit the world, the decision was not easy for me, because during such an uncertain time, I had to decide, along with my parents, of course, if actually it's a good idea to leave my country, my home, my friends and family behind and move across the continent, basically. But because I liked so much what the university wanted to give the students and the overall learning process, because we're a University of Applied Sciences, and because learning by doing things seemed really interesting to me and seemed like the best approach on how to evolve as a person and how to easily learn and grow. I think that's why those are the reasons that kept me going. I was very, very interested in the courses, the programs and specializations the school put out there. And because my only contact with university was online, because of the coronavirus, of course. Even though all the informations I gathered were just from messages or emails or sites, that didn't stop me to make that big step and actually move here and start studying here. So I guess now that the situation is slightly better, when people can come actually visit the school and also see how the community actually is, I think that's a plus, and that only helps you get a better view of what the university here is all about.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I think we have some time for questions. I do see a question from Louise. She is asking, do you get a brief introduction per language or help picking a language in year 2? So the language you need to choose before the start of your studies. And there will be an online form which will be sent to you. And as an international student, you will get Dutch, of course, so you need to select Dutch. But besides Dutch, it is possible to choose an additional language. And you can, it depends a little bit on the language, but the European languages, you can also start at a bit of a higher level, because sometimes we do have students who already speak French or already speak Spanish, and they can start at a bit higher, and the other languages will start at beginner's level. But it is something to decide before the start of your studies. Any more questions? Now's the time, so you can just type them in the chat and we will do our best to answer them. Is RBS only for international students? No, we also have Dutch students, but the program is in English, of course. So you'll be in a classroom with both international students and Dutch students, and you will follow your program fully in English. Any more questions? Can be about the program, about the city, can be specifically for Letitia because she is actually studying. Jenny is asking about the internship. Do we get help from the university when looking, or is it entirely up to us to find a place? Well, initially it's your own responsibility, because it is also very important to develop those skills. How do I write a CV? How do I conduct myself during a job interview? Very valuable for after graduation. But of course, the internship is mandatory. Everyone needs to do it. So if you really are really struggling and you really have difficulty, then we will definitely help you out. But it is also important to be proactive, show initiative, and develop those skills. Leticia, I see a question for you.
Yes, I think Lev is referring to my specialization, actually. And my specialization is organization and change. Marissa already mentioned those in a slide before. And I chose this one because it mainly focuses on management, human resources. So I get to see more what's inside of a business and get very valuable information on that. So that's why I chose this one, and I'm very content with what we're learning during this year and with the projects that we're working on. So it was a good choice.
Let's see. So as an international student, I have to choose Dutch. Yes, that's correct. But you can choose different language as an elective. Yeah. So there are actually two options. So you can choose Dutch as your main language and choose an additional language as an elective, or you choose Dutch as an elective and choose an additional language as your main language. So there are two options to choose from. What's the difference between international business at RBS and the HR? So RBS is the business institute within the university. So we are part of Rotterdam University of Applied Sciences. I hope it's clear. Any more questions? Yes, so Jenny's asking something about marketing. Yes, marketing is one of these specializations, which you can choose at the end of your first year. So definitely one of the specializations, Jenny. Letitia, could you maybe share a little bit on your daily expenses and where you do your groceries and things like that?
Of course, of course. I think you already mentioned kind of a budget, let's call it like that, in your previous slides. That was around €1,000. And as you said, it depends on your personal needs and wants, of course. For me personally, I have a budget, and I spend about €1,100 per month. That also includes my rent, which is €550 per month. So the other €550 I use for groceries, takeout, I don't know, going to restaurants, also traveling to school. I guess, of course, it depends on you, but here in the Netherlands, there are a lot of grocery shops. And I think that if you're a student, and of course, you always care about your budget, as we all do, you will search for the cheapest alternative. And with that, I don't mean like if the products are cheap, the quality is also lower. It doesn't have to be that case because, of course, it depends on the grocery shop. But here, I usually go grocery shopping to Jumbo, which is a pretty big supermarket, and it's very well known here in the Netherlands. And also to Albert Heijn. I think Albert Heijn is the biggest one, and everybody knows Albert Heijn when they come here, and they always refer to it. And if I was to distribute the money for a week, I would say that I go grocery shopping along with my roommate, because we buy together our food and we share it. So, for example, if we go grocery shopping twice per week, I think it's about 50 to 100 euros for the both of us, I mean. And that depends, of course, in what you eat, what you want to buy. And aside from grocery shopping, there's the cost of transportation, because now that we are going offline to school, you need to travel by metro. At least that's my case. And I would say that that's about €3 per day. So if you have classes 4 days per week, because that's how it usually is, that's not a lot. I mean, there is some money, but at the same time, it's not a very big amount. And then you have, if you want to get takeout, that also costs a bit. And for that, I would say about 20 to 30 euros per week if you are that kind of person who's used to ordering food at home. And I would also add probably once a month, I don't know, a shopping session. Where, of course, because I'm a girl, I always want to go by and see the new stuff that the stores bring. So there's also where some of my money goes. But the expenses are not that high as you expect when you come here.
Great, that's good to hear, I think, for a lot of the students. And Robin is asking something about the ALTS. For most of the European diplomas, the ALTS is not really necessary, because usually if you have English in your final year, then that's usually sufficient, but it depends, of course, on the diploma. So that's something that the admissions team will decide. And if you have to do an ALTS, then you have to get an overall score of 6.0. But that's really a question for the admissions team. And I see that there's another question for you.
Yes. So yes, I stayed in the dorms during my first year of studies. And what I would say that the dorms, I think, was the best decision that I took before coming here, because as Marissa already mentioned, it's really easy to find a room there, and it's very accessible. And the campus, the locations are really nice, and the rooms and apartment where you're going to live are very big, and I think more than enough for what a student needs. And of course, the social part is also a benefit from staying in a dorms, because it's way easier to meet new people and to make connections. I stayed in the Erasmus International House, and there's a big terrace, like on the 7th floor of the building, I think. And usually that's where we went, even during the day, not always during the night. And we used to have hangouts. You meet new people that they don't necessarily live in the building, but they can come there and just hang out, have a chat. So I guess that most of my friends that I made during my first year were from just going to different hangouts in the dorms, not especially in my own building, but because there are also other buildings, and that's where I also met new people. So because for me the online part was, I think, the most difficult part. The social part on the other side was very easy because of where I was living, basically.
Nice, very helpful. And yes, I know the big terrace on the top floor is really nice. Could you maybe see if you can answer the next question as well?
Of course. So I think this one is referring to more to the specialization, because that's true. At the end of your first year, you're gonna choose your specialization. And Marissa already presented to you the 4 choices that we have here. But that doesn't mean that you're only gonna be focusing on that specific field. That choosing a specialization is more of getting insights of a certain part that you like, but that only is about 30% of what you're gonna learn during your year. So the other 70% is the business classes that everybody's following. So at the end of your studies, you're not gonna have only your diploma is not only gonna focus on your specialization. It's gonna be still an international business diploma with the knowledge that you need to know for the entire field. So not only for a specific part.
Good questions, guys. Really nice. Anything else that you would like to ask? Louise is asking something about RBS and some developments within the university. Yes, that will definitely happen, but nothing will change study-wise, Louise. So don't worry about that. The program will still be international business. Maybe just to clarify, Louise is asking something about HRBS, which stands for Hogeschool Rotterdam Business School. It's actually the Dutch name. So besides that, nothing will change. So RBS will still be RBS. What about Robin's question, Letitia?
I think again she's referring to the specialization. So basically you have the whole first year where you follow all the business classes to get to know a bit about everything. So during the classes, you will get insights on what supply chain is, what finance is, what marketing is. And at the end of your first year, once you have all the information gathered and once you have all the different insights of the specializations that we offer, that's when you have to make a decision. And from what I can tell you from my experience is that at the end of your first year, it's pretty clear what everything is and what every specialization actually focuses on. So your decision will not be hard at all. You will have all the information that you need, and of course you can do research on your own if you want to get even more. So yeah, the decision at the end is gonna be very easy. And even though even though you possibly might not like your specialization, it doesn't have to be a problem, because as I told you, you're still following all the business classes, and the specialization part is only 30%, so you don't have to worry about it.
Perfect. Let's see. Do we need a specific grade in maths? Yeah, that's a good question. So the system in the Netherlands is a little bit different because in the Netherlands we believe that higher education should be accessible to everyone with a high school diploma that's equal to Dutch HAVO. That also means that we are not allowed to have subject requirements. So as long as you graduate and actually obtain your high school diploma, then you're welcome to come and study at RBS. So I wouldn't worry too much about mathematics. Of course, there is finance and accounting in the program, but it's not a finance program. Of course, it's a business program. We also work with peer coaches who can help you out if you really need some extra help with specific subjects, but I wouldn't worry too much about that. And I see
Yeah,
that.
there's nothing to worry about. So everything, even though you don't know maths, the subject is pretty chill. So
Exactly.
you're fine.
Daniela's asking something about her grade. Yeah, so for Daniela, for you just need your Romanian high school diploma. Usually you also have English in your final year, so there's no English test required, and there's also no grade requirement. So as long as you graduate and obtain your diploma, then you're good to go. What I do want to mention is that during the first year, you do need to pass at least 80% of your subjects to move on to the second year. So everyone gets an equal opportunity to get in, but you do need to work hard and do your homework, attend your projects and your group work to move on to the second year. So that's probably good to know. And maybe also good that I'm gonna put the admissions email here, because if you have any specific admission related questions, then you can of course email the admissions team directly. Any more questions for us?
I can also add in the chat our Instagram page username. Of course, if they have any more questions or if they just want to have a chat with one of the ambassadors, we are all students in the university and we can always talk with you, give you advice, or if you just want a student perspective on a certain thing, you can always message us. I will leave it in the chat in a second.
Perfect. Well, I don't see any more questions coming up in the chat. There are more webinars coming up this week, so make sure to attend those. Follow this international students on Instagram and Facebook. Go to our YouTube channel, Rotterdam Business School, because all of the webinars are there as well. Yeah, perfect. Letitia already put it in the chat. So we're going to wrap up, I think, because I don't see any more questions. I just want to say thank you to everyone who joined today. Letitia, thank you so much. I know you are busy with school, so super nice that you took the time to join us. So thank you, everyone. If you have any questions after this, you can always just reach out to us. And other than that, I think we're all looking forward to meeting you in August. So have a good day, everyone, and looking forward to meeting you and welcoming you to Rotterdam. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.